take a look at how responsive these 4 images are. I'm going to drag the slider over to the left, and you'll notice that it's going to change its column structure, and it's also responsive. So as the screen is getting smaller, you can see as soon as it hits a certain breakpoint, it changes, and you can see now that is looking beautiful on all devices. So it's going to depend on what device it is, and then it's going to adapt based on that size. Now, you may look at this and think that this is very, very straightforward to achieve. So let me show you how difficult it is to achieve and how easy it is to achieve using Krafter. So I'm going to try and recreate this from scratch. So I'm just going to go in and add a brand new row. In fact, I'm going to click here on this plus button, equal columns. So in each item, I'm going to add an image. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. So to make things a bit different here, I'm going to use an image, which is different from the car, of course, so we can at least distinguish between the two. Next, I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So this is where we decide, okay, are we going to use Flexbox or grid? So I want to first show you Flexbox. So in order for us to go in and activate Flexbox, I need to come over here into Elements and then go into the column, because the column is what has these 4 images, and we can see them right here. The next step now is to come over here to Design, Layout, and then we're going to define what this is going to be. So by default, it's set to Flexbox, but the layout direction is set to column, but we need it to be row. So we do that, and boom, we have a similar design, right? But not so fast, because if we save and preview this, so I'm just going to come over here to my preview page and refresh this, okay? So now we have this one here on the bottom. If we do the same thing and start making it smaller and smaller, notice what happens. The top one is responsive, but the bottom one is not. Look at that. In fact, let me just scroll down so you can see it. Look at that. It's not. If I go further down, it gets even worse. The image is so tiny that you can't even see what it is, but the top one is responsive, or at least it's, it's compliant, it's listening to what we're trying to do. So you may say, okay, maybe I should choose grid. And rightfully so, grid and Flexbox, they're used to lay out all your components inside your columns. So now I'm going to change this from Flex to grid. And same thing, it just defaults to this layout here. But with grid is different, because it's not about direction anymore. It's about the columns, or at least in Divi here. So what you need to do in this case is to come over here and then say, okay, I want 4 columns. Okay. So we've added our 4 columns, and now we are good to go. Let me just change this so you can see what it looks like. So if I go 3, you'll see that you have 3 on the top, 1 on the bottom. Okay. So these are your 3 columns. That's 4 columns. But we still have the same problem. Okay. We are on grid, right? But if I save and refresh, you'll notice that when I start making this smaller, we have the same problem as we had before. My top images are working fine, but the bottom one is not. Now, the only way to fix this is to manually go in and tell grid what we want. So we have to go in and do it manually by coming over here on the tablet, for example. And then we tell the tablet, hey, you know what? Instead of 4 columns, we need 2. And then we say, okay, on this phone, we need 1 column. Let me just show you. We have 2, and then you can just say 1, and now we have a similar layout to that. Now, imagine doing that on each and every design. But before I do that, I just want to show you how it reacts and how different it is to what we have on the top. So there we go. We have our 4 images. Now, I think it would be fair if we make them look the same, isn't it? So I'm going to come over here. Let's go and choose our column. So I'm going to come over here, and I want to come to the top, and I'm going to say content row. Okay. And since I have content row selected, I'm going to go to my elements, choose my column, And I'm going to make sure that the gap between the items here is set to, I think it's medium that we have on the top. Is it? Yeah, I think it's medium. Okay. So now we have everything the same. And by the way, I know you're wondering why. How am I choosing gap? How am I choosing these columns? Well, I'm using a design system called Krafter, and I'll explain in a moment why that is important. Okay, I'm going to save this and then come back over here and refresh. Okay, so with the naked eye, it looks pretty much the same, but let's see how it performs. So now I'm going to go in and drag the slider again. So let's see what happens and when the change happens. So roundabout here, do you see that? So we're still maintaining a nice size here, but the bottom one hasn't changed. We're going to continue on. You see that? Now it changes. But the way it changes is it snaps to 2 columns, but on the top one, we still have 3 columns, but it's still visible. We can still see what's there. So this one might have just, rushed a little bit, and then now it catches up. And then when we go smaller as well, you see this one has already gone to the single column, while over here we still have our 4, and then it catches up. Okay, so we can see here that they perform differently. And personally, I know I'm biased, but I think this one here with the red car performs much better. The question now is, how was I able to achieve this in Divi 5? Well, I have a design system called Krafter, and this design system has a lot of presets that make the design process of a website very, very easy, very, very fast. And once you master this system, you're going to have websites that are consistent across board. Now, let me show you. So to use my grid system, I would come over here, add a single column, and then let's add our images in there. So I'm going to say image, and let's go ahead and add the type of image, which is this one here. Upload image. I'm going to duplicate this image 3 times, and then I'm going to select my row settings. And in fact, I might as well just change it to content here, so at least they are all the same. And by the way, this is using the design system. So if I choose content row, it's going to adapt to the content. All right, so now that I have my content set, I'm now going to come over here to my elements and select my column. And here's what we need to do. All we need to do is to click one button, and that is all the way up here on the top. You click on Assign Presets and then click Auto Grid. And just by doing that, we have adjusted our grid. It's perfect, and there's nothing else you need to do. So everything now works great. So if I save this and then come back over here and refresh, you'll notice now that this grid on the bottom is going to perform just like the top one. You see that? So the beauty of using this grid system is if you go in and add more items in here, it just adds and it just goes into the right place. So this is fantastic if you have, let's say, images that you want to showcase, and this automatically adapts based on the screen size. So let's just do it inside here, by the way. Look at that. Automatic. No need to mess around with anything else. Everything is just the right size. And if I do that, everything is in one column and it's automatic. That is the brilliance of this auto grid. So instead of going into the column here and doing it manually, sometimes it can be very, very confusing because the grid interface, for example, if I come over here on layout and then choose, in fact, let's just stay on Flexbox. Do you notice that you'd have to go here and make sure you activate wrapping, and then you need your column align, and there's just so many tweaks you need to do in order for this grid to work. So this saves you a lot of time when you use Krafter design system. Now, there's something else I also want to talk about here, and you may find this very, very exciting because this uses colors. Okay, so let's say you've designed your website, it's looking like this, and the client comes and says, you know what, we need to rebrand, right? The colors that we've used here are not the colors that we need moving forward. We need to rebrand completely. So you're going to be sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, so every place that I've gone in and added a primary color, I need to go in and change it. But with this design system, you don't have to do that. You only change your colors in one place and pretty much you're good to go. Let me show you how it works. So let's change our primary color here. So I'm going to go in and choose a new color for our branding. Okay, so let's see what color we can go with. Let's go with something different to what we have at the moment. So let's go with this one here. I'm going to copy the hexadecimal value, okay? And then I'm going to go back to my site. Now, to rebrand the website, there's only one place you need to go and make the color change. And that is over here on your variable manager, okay? Next, you want to go to colors. Now, I want you to pay attention to these colors. Now, all these are your shades of your primary colors, okay? I want you to pay attention to that. And also the background here, which is assigned to this primary color. So if I paste my new color now and hit enter, do you see that? Across the whole website, my color now has been updated to this. And wherever I've used my primary colors here, all these shades, it also updated. Now, I mean, just one click. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so let's say we've done the primary color and the branding also requires the secondary color to change. Well, we're going to come over here and choose our secondary color. So I'm going to go in and lock this one here. And then I'm just going to get rid of a few of these colors here so I don't have too much going on, okay? Press the space bar. So as I'm going through this and I'm thinking, okay, maybe this one here could actually work as my secondary color. I'll copy it, come back over here to my design, and then go to my secondary color, paste it. Now, I know for a fact I've used my secondary color on this button here, so pay attention to the button. I'm going to hit enter, and my button is updated. Now, I know I've used a color which is close to what I had before. Why don't we change that? We're coming back over here. Let's change the color to something else. Okay, let's go with this. I know it's a bit extreme. I'm going to copy that as my secondary color, and then I'm going to go in and paste it. Now, the second thing, the same thing, you see here on our shades of our secondary colors, right? You can see here we have the color. Now, if I just paste my color here, okay, and hit enter, you notice now it has updated here. And if I go to all my shades have updated, which is fantastic. Now, all you have to do, specifically for the button now, I'm going to save this, apply changes. Now, specifically for the button, I know that the color has changed for my text. All I need to do is to go to my button. So I'm in my design here, I go to my button, and then I'm going to go to my button text. Okay, so in my button text here, I can see that it's set to secondary 800, okay? All I have to do is to click on this little icon, and it shows all my colors. And this is inbuilt in the design system. So the only two places you need to change is the primary color and the secondary color, and everything else is all updated. So what I want to do now is to choose a secondary 100 because it's going to make my button much easier to read, and it's much easier to see. But if that's too light, no problem. We can just go in and simply customize this by coming over here and increasing my lightness. Okay, maybe talk about that. And pretty much you're done. You save, and that is your rebrand. Notice that this heading color here also updated because I had a very light shade of my primary color. So this is a fantastic way of designing. You make sure that everything is very, very consistent. You don't need to worry about, okay, where do I need to go and change my colors and going to all different places to change your colors. You don't need to do that. This design system just makes the whole process of designing your website very, very easy. Now, it has a ton of features. There's also a spacing scale. So if I were to come over here to, let's say, this row, you can see here it has my preset, which is called margin top medium. Now, all this is fluid. Okay, in fact, let me just show you. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to come over here and refresh. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to make this image here, this screen smaller. I want you to pay attention at the spacing here, here, and here. And also take a look at the sizes of the button and the text as I make the screen smaller. And this is what makes this design system really, really amazing. I can already see the paragraph text is getting smaller. The button is getting smaller. So everything is going to look consistent on all devices. You see that? You see that? Nice and small, and everything is changing. Even the image is changing. Look at that. Look at the size of the button. And then look at the size of the text. So our design is going to look perfect on all devices. Now, you know how we have these different screen sizes. We don't need to touch these when we design using Krafter. The design system does not even require any of that. Everything is all done in, calculated once and for all, and everything is perfect. We have presets for all your headings. So if I want to change this from heading extra large, I can change this to, in fact, I can change this to extra large, and you can see it's gone even bigger, right? So if I want to change this to maybe heading 1, I can just do that. Now it's on heading 1. I did not need to go in and change any values because everything here is based on clamp. And this is the sizing that we need to use for our font sizes. We can't go in here and say, oh, you know what? I'm going to go in and put 3 rem or 2.5 em or 16 pixels. If you do that, all your texts will not be accessible and your website will fail the accessibility test. So by using Krafter, everything is just clean. Everything is based on clamp. As you can see here, this includes the spacing. It includes the text, pretty much everything you need. And of course, I showed you how to use AutoGrid, which just makes the alignment of items very, very easy to add on your website. Now, I know you're probably thinking, but Mac, this looks very, very complicated. It looks like there's so much going on here. Well, that's true. Okay, it's a preset-based system, but it saves you a lot of time because you don't have to go in and manually add all your values. So I've also created a course that goes with Krafter design system. And here it is. So far, I've added in 7 lessons. So when you purchase Krafter, you automatically get access to the course. So you'd click over here. And as you can see here, it shows you how to install, how to set up your colors, how to use Krafter with pre-made layouts. Now, this could be something that is very, very important for you. Now, these pre-made layouts that Divi has for free, they're not responsive and they don't have fluid fonts. Okay, so you can actually use Krafter to make it a bit more accessible using that as a base. And that's pretty much perfect. And I show you how to do that in here. I show you how to use text. I also show you how to update your existing presets. So just because I gave you these presets, it doesn't mean that you're stuck with them and you're done. You can't move. No, you can go in, update them, customize them, rename them. It's up to you. Okay. I also show you how to do that. I also show you how to update your color shades. I also show you how to do the rebranding similar to what I've just done a few moments ago. So this is very, very, very powerful. And once you purchase this, it's going to be very easy to follow. I will be adding even more lessons at no extra cost. And this is going to be the design workflow that you need if you use Divi 5, because it just makes things much, much, much easier. Okay, so I also have a course here called the Divi 5 Mastery Course. It's only $27. As you can see, it's a very, very popular course. It has more than 1,000 students. More than 1,000 students. This course will get you up and running with Divi. Now, Divi 5, because as you know, Divi has moved from Divi 4. Now it's a complete new UI. It's a complete new piece of software. And of course, this is going to save you a lot of time going to YouTube, reading documentation and so on and so forth, because this just pretty much covers everything. Now, this course is going to be updated regularly, which means that when this course is updated, you don't have to pay extra. If you pay $27, that's it. You don't have to pay anything more than that. And pretty much that is the massive advantage of getting this course at $27. The link to that will be in the video description below. Finally, if you want to purchase Krafter, it is right here. It's only $77. And once you purchase it, you can use it on unlimited websites, and you can upload this design system onto Divi Cloud and use it on all your websites. It's very, very easy to set up. And when you click down Buy now. I know a lot of you have been asking, can we have PayPal? The good news is we can use your credit card, or you can also use PayPal, which is fantastic. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.